Hello, and welcome to an impromptu deck showcase. Probably going to be in the unnamed deck showcase playlist. This is going to be much faster. I don't have a scripted intro, and I don't have a ton of games to show you. I am recording this at like 12:48 in the morning for the purposes of uploading right when I go live for my Donathon. That's right. If you're seeing this and it has just gone live, I'll be streaming for at least 8 hours from noon Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Unless we can rack up enough donations and subs to extend the time limit to a full 24 hours and then potentially to extend the Donathon throughout the entirety of summer. If you enjoy my content and my live streams, you can potentially make me stream 8 hours a day, every day this summer by checking out the Twitch page and donating or subscribing to the Twitch channel. I'll be doing a ton of Duel Links content, including a potential ladder climb to King of Games with Magical Muskets, playing any deck of chat's choice, and making a potential unnamed deck showcase on Dark Magician, my most hated deck in this godforsaken game. If any of that sounds interesting to you, please check out the Twitch link in the description below, because I should be live at least during the day this video goes up. Without further ado, let me tell you about this deck in particular, Orcust. This is, of course, the basically the same as the original deck I showcased, minus a couple cards for consistency. We're not playing the additional skeleton. We're not playing any extra copies of Gear Frame, and most concerningly, we're not playing any copies of Book of Moon. I just want to keep this deck as consistent as possible. I think maxing out on Harp and Nightmare is actually fine because Machina Fortress discards both of these to do your full combo. Speaking of which, we'll just go over the full deck. Of course, we're playing the only starter this deck really has access to now that Mermaid's not in the picture. I now understand, based on a replay that you'll see in this video, why they put release to 1, because Scrap Recycler full combo allows you to set release even without Mermaid in the game, so you can potentially just like do release and then do Babel, and Babel might still be worse than release just because your Babel combo ends with you linking off a Dingirsu, whereas if you're playing release, you can set release and just have Dingirsu plus Nightmare on your field, which might potentially be better. I think this is better going second, and I think it's better for longevity, but as you know from last format, Orcust can end games pretty quickly, so longevity might be not that big of an issue. So this might be a bit of a moot point, but I did want to show off Babel because I think banishing Symbol Skeleton on your opponent's turn is cool. I don't think setting Orchestrated Return with Galatea and then drawing Compulse is cool. That's the difference. This is cool Orcust. Maybe I'll say Orcust but cool, and we'll have this guy in the fucking thumbnail with some sunglasses on. How does that sound? So, of course, we're playing the 2 Fortress because I don't have a third, and Gear Frame just is another normal summon. This is funny because you can equip it to Galatea, and then if you link it, it can't be destroyed by card effects or battle, which is very funny. But not really worth playing if you have 3 Fortress. If you do have 3 Fortress, cut the Gear Frame, play 3, in my opinion. 3 Harp Horror, you actually do want to draw it in this deck. 3 Scrap Recycler, the best starter and only starter in this version of the deck. 3 Orcust Nightmare, you can definitely cut it down to 2. I was playing 2 before, but like, I don't really know. I guess if you really want to find space for double Book of Moon, which you're not wrong for wanting to include, just cut down on Nightmare, which you'll draw less with Fortress because you're also playing less effective copies of Fortress, and then put 2 Book of Moons in the last spot for 20, or of course you can go to 22 or 21 if you just want to keep the Gear Frame, cut a Nightmare, and put in 2 books. Of course, we are on the 1 Symbol Skeleton. You never want to play more than 1, especially with Babel, because if you banish it, you can shuffle it back on the same turn, even during your opponent's turn, and you do not, unlike any of the other cards in this deck, want to draw it. I guess you also don't want to draw World Wand, but there are situations in which, like, I guess if you draw Harp Horror, Machina Fortress, World Wand, that's not bad, because you can pitch World Wand for the full requirement for Machina Fortress, normal Harp, and then do your full combo, but that's like a very rare hand. This is still a bad card to draw. Of course, the 1 Babel, the reason to play the deck, I'm going to shit my pants if Babel is still not good enough to see play with release at 1. If that is how strong Ding's protection effect is, then I guess I just don't know how Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links works. 2 Orchestrated Return, just to be able to extend as often as possible. Of course, this is going to be up for most turns. So, and since we're going up on Orcust names, this will more often than not be live. And if not, again, you can just keep setting it with Galatea. Because we're playing on our opponent's turn with this deck, you can set Babel on your turn, set release on your opponent's turn, and then set the last release on your turn for use again on the later turn, or to bait out a back row. And then our extra deck is very expensive. I'm playing 3 copies of Galatea. If you don't have 3, don't worry about it. You can just play a copy of Wee Witch instead. Your turn 1 combo ends with linking off Dingirsu and Orcust Nightmare for the second Galatea after you use the first one to make Ding. You can also just make Wee Witch's Apprentice in that case. That way, if they out it, you can add a dark monster from your graveyard to your hand. I don't know how important that would be, but potentially would be important. It would also let you recycle Galatea, so you functionally have 3, right? They blow up your Witch, you recycle the first one, and then make it again. Because you're never reviving the second one. You can, because that's why we're playing 2 Dingirsu for weird situations in which we end our turn with a revived Dingirsu on our field. We can banish Symbol Skeleton, revive the linked off Galatea, and then make the second one over the course of 2 turns. If I'm not explaining this well, you revive the first copy from your graveyard on your opponent's turn. Turn passes back to you. You banish Symbol Skeleton again because you can shuffle it back into your deck if you're ending your turn on the second Galatea. Then you send it to the graveyard again, banish it, to summon the first Galatea, and then you make Orcust of the Evening Star again to on your turn over the course of 2 turns. We are playing Nightmare Unicorn just because it's the best generic Darkling 3. Longirsu because it is a unicorn at home for times you don't want to discard, or times in which you want to make Longirsu before you make Dingirsu. That has come up, and you'll see why. And then number 11, Big Eye. This card is great in the mirror match, and it's just the best Dark rank 7 you can make. You can potentially make the Dark Arm Dragon retrain or Ebon Illusion, but neither of those really do anything. So this is just the best rank 7 of choice. You're usually only making this after you Dark Lock yourself, because you're summoning Machina Fortress, then banishing Harp Horror to summon Orcust Nightmare, or banishing Symbol Skeleton to summon Orcust Nightmare, or banishing World Wand to summon Orcust Nightmare. In either case, you are locking yourself to Darks, and you're really only doing that going second, because if you have to do that going first, you're going to link off the Orcust Nightmare for Galatea. So this is the best going second Dark rank 7, and it is quite versatile. So that is the deck. I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope to see you at the Donathon today. All right, so the first game here is going to showcase this deck going first. Obviously, this deck is very nice going first, but perhaps not as good as before, because if we're ending on just Galatea, we don't have Destruction Protection. We've opened Scrap Recycler. How skilled of us. We're going to send the Harp Horror. We, of course, do open to Orcust monsters, which is sort of the downside about this deck. You basically live and die by your engine. Though we are getting to draw more cards, we're only really going to draw into Cosmic Cyclones, which is, again, a possible reason you might want to cut down on copies of Nightmare and potentially of the Machina Fortress as well to play 2 tech back row silver bullets to draw into. So we're going to, of course, make Orcust of the Evening Star, and this is sort of the difference. If I had attached, I mean, obviously I'm going to attach World Wand, but if I had set Release instead, we could have done the exact same combo. It's just Release is so lame, and I honestly, genuinely didn't see a use for it, but you're going to see in the next game that it is still quite good. We are going to Link Summon the second Galatea. This is why you want to play 3, is so you have the third one in your deck, and you can activate this one on your opponent's turn. If you don't have 3, this can still be Wee Witch, and that's, like, not horrible. But the whole idea is we banish Orcust Nightmare to send Symbol Skeleton, banish Symbol Skeleton to revive Orcust Dingirsu. Then we banish World Wand, or then we shuffle back the Symbol Skeleton with Galatea so we can repeat the process. We're going to get rid of that normal summon. Of course, they normal summon Caspar. Chain Cosmic Cyclone. Why did they do it this late? They literally could have won the game if they didn't. But, I mean, what do I say about Muskets? It makes your IQ points 10 lower every time you pilot this deck. We're going to, of course, set the Orchestrated Return, revive Dingirsu. They're going to get a search, but that doesn't matter because it resolves too late. They're going to Desperado our Dingirsu. Does not matter. And we are going to send that Caspar. They're going to add Cross Domination to their hand. Then they're going to activate Pot of Duality, revealing a Kid Brave, Forbidden Lance, and Dock. Then they're going to add Lance and then set that Lance so they don't die to our attacks next turn. Just kidding. They're not going to set that. Not that it ends up mattering, but probably a good idea to try to protect yourself from your opponent's lethal push. But That's neither here nor there. We're going to activate Orcust of the Evening Star to attach Orcust Nightmare, banish World Wand to summon the skeleton, activate Galatea to shuffle back World Wand to set our last copy of Return in case this game isn't over here. I wouldn't be surprised if our opponent played Kite Road, but they don't, and we kill them. Alrighty, last game here. Going to be going second against a Playmaker and I on that classic deck. I am talking about pre-nerf Orcust. Our opponent is cheating and playing like a little bitch baby, but it doesn't matter. They normal summon Recycler, so it's not like we're going to see the Nightmare half of the deck anyway. They're going to, of course, do the same combo you already know. And they're going to banish Nightmare, send Wand, activate 3 effects. This was very funny. I totally did not notice they were playing 3 effects until it was my turn, and it made me turbo misplay because I saw I didn't have lethal. I link summoned Galatea again, and then I just didn't attack for lethal. I didn't attack for 1800, so I didn't put any damage on the board my turn. So this is, of course, the standard. They're going to have 2 cards set in the back row here. We're going to play around them as best we can. We're going to go for the Machina Fortress early. Then we're going to make Galatea. That will prompt the release like we want it to. They're going to send Galatea. It's all over from here. We're going to revive our Nightmare, make Big Eye, steal Galatea, banish Nightmare, link summon for Longirsu, shuffle back 2 Orcust names to put that Dingirsu in the graveyard, make Dingirsu send their last card, banish World Wand for Harp Horror. I thought that was lethal, but then I saw they used 3 effects, so then I used Galatea since I figured I couldn't kill him anyway, to set a copy of Return, and I will be rewarded by drawing Babel. And here I should go to battle phase and attack them, but I pass. Oops. So they're going to normal Scrap Recycler again. Wow, how skilled of them. They're going to make Nightmare and then make Galatea. That is the choke point, so we are going to send that to the graveyard. I don't know why our opponent sent Harp Horror to the grave and not Symbol Skeleton, but hey, one misplay deserves another, and we've basically won the game here. We're going to set our last copy of Return, discard, draw 2 cards, and they scoop them up. So we're back with the deck, and obviously, while I really like Orchestrated Babel, I cannot tell you if this is better than just playing Release, because Ding with 2 materials is evidently very scary. I think the most potent part of Orcust was always the ability to set interaction turn 1, and Babel basically ensures you have the interaction for every turn, but it of course comes at the cost of losing out on Dingirsu's protection. You do have to put Dingirsu in the graveyard on your first turn in order to revive it on the second, which can be pretty rough. I don't know if this is going to be the version of Orcust to pilot post-nerf. I especially don't think this will be the version of Babel Orcust to pilot post-nerf, because I think, unfortunately, at the end of the day, this is just worse than Gandora Orcust. The reason you play Machina Fortress isn't as a rank 7 engine, that's just incidental synergy. The reason you play it is because it can discard Orcusts. There are other cards that fulfill the same niche. If you don't have Machina Fortress, you can play something like Defrag Dragon, which is a level 3, meaning you can overlay it with Recycler if they DD Crow your Harp for Levier the Sea Dragon and bring it back, as you saw in my last video. That's perhaps something you can do. Overall, I think if you're going to play pure Orcust, I think this is the, at best, an okay version. I think if you want to play Babel, you should definitely be checking out Gandora Orcust, and maybe Release is still better than Babel post-nerf. But if you don't have Gandora and you want an excuse to play Big Eye and or Machina Fortress, I think this might be the deck for you. This is certainly going to be the Orcust build that I play, because I'm not pulling for the Gandora cards, and I do not have the patience to set Release for another format. So that's that, and if you did enjoy this video, I would highly appreciate it if you did check the description to see if I am still live and joining the Donathon. It doesn't matter if you have any money to contribute or not. I just appreciate the company, and of course, I'll be playing some Duel Links. I'll be playing other games as well, so if you want to see me in a live setting and mauled at my bad plays in real time, there is the link for that in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the Donathon.